So sometimes the right thing to do isn't to fail fast, it's to actually fail slow. Because it's not about the failure, it's about the learning. So sometimes if you hit a boundary and you keep moving away, then you won't find out whether or not you could have pushed through that boundary and created something. Right? So the trade-off between the value associated with commitment to something and the value associated with quickly knowing when to pivot is a managerial judgment call. Right? Again, this is going to be about people in getting that right. So this, the old story, I'm sure you guys have heard this, about bacon and eggs, about the difference between the chicken and the pig, being that the chicken's made a contribution and the pig's committed. So it turns out that for a lot of things in the strategy innovation space, you need commitment. You need to be willing to push even when it looks as though you've hit a boundary, even when it looks like there's nowhere further to go than where we are. And in fact, I would suggest that we know from finance and economics more generally that risk and reward go hand in hand. So if you want the big rewards, then you have to be willing to make some of the big bets. Even some of the big bets that ex post, that is after the event, end up failing. Right? So when I asked you, are your organizations comfortable with failure, I think despite all of the rhetoric around innovation and experimentation and failure, in Australia in particular, and in the world more generally, I think we're actually quite conservative and risk averse. And we tend to only think about experimentation at the margins. And we're going to do these A/B testing of things that aren't going to cost us very much, and if it works, it'll make some incremental marginal improvements for us. But that's not enough. If I want to be the organization that's going to go out there and make the big returns, whatever returns we're talking about, whatever that means from a societal perspective, I have to be willing to take some big bets that may fail miserably. Right? And that's a very, very different kind of organizational architecture, I would contend, than what most of our businesses have. We're not geared in that way. We're not geared in a way that actually says that we're willing to take the right kinds of risks. Now, the challenge, again, for senior management and leadership is going to be, what are the right kinds of risks? In this uncertain world, what risks make sense? Even so, in the good state of the world, it could pay off really well, but there's lots of things we have no control over, and we may end up in a bad state of the world where those things are going to cost us a lot of money. And I'm suggesting to you that organizations that are going to succeed in tomorrow's world are the ones that are actually willing to take those kinds of bets, along with some of the smaller bets as well. So it can't just be about I'm going to hedge at the margins. I have to be willing to take some of the big bets. I have to be willing to commit behind that. So embrace failure, big and small.